Good evening, everyone, and we are back here again together with Marius and myself,
Hello.
Karolis. And today we have really controversial topic that can raise some fire. So don't rush to throw stones at us. But Marius had this topic on his head. He told me a week. I think it's for a few months at least, but it's definitely something what we need to talk. So today's topic is Satan is God. Oh yeah, that sounds bad as it sounds. So I will give a transition to Marius, and he will open this up with his insights. Why you say this? Like Marius, tell for the audience why you telling that way.
So basically, three main things which made me think about it and say it in this way was that I've learned that we're only able to see bad if we consider something to be good. And all my life, I was made to believe that good is the opposite of bad. But going through life and learning different experiences, I've learned that if I go far enough with good, it ends up being bad because it goes in a circle. In my view, I see it as a circle now. So basically, if I'm doing something good, let's say I want to save people, I'm doing charity and then I'm giving money away because I think that's the right thing to do. At the same time, if I keep doing it, I don't enable people who that they would solve their problems themselves. That maybe they have issues, and because I'm giving money to them, they don't stop and think that they can solve the issue themselves, and in that way they could empower themselves to be the problem solver. But instead, I become as problem solver, and if I'd be gone from their life, they just need another person who would solve the problems. At the same time, let's say someone is killing a person. No one knows what happened before. Let's say, what if that person who's getting killed at the moment, maybe he assaulted that person's daughter or son, or maybe there's a history behind it. And it's very easy with living in this material world, seeing the duality, what we're all raised on, to make decisions on the given moment without having all the information. And now I would say Satan is God just because I think it's the same coin which has different sides. Sometimes we need love to move forward, and sometimes we need to get a good beating to move forward. It's just different sides of the same. So that's how I see God, and that's how I see Satan right now. What do you think about this, Karolis?
I it's how to say, it's a religious thing, when we talk about God and Satan. And I had like a different explanation for that. It's the same what you're saying. Just I always looked at that God and Satan as really basically a product of God, and it was, let's say, it was created with a purpose to teach. And then you say how this horrible suffering and all these very bad things that we can, name it, how can it be a product of God? And that's where it comes a huge misunderstanding what is God, and how
Yes,
love works, how transformation works, and all these things. So I can tell you that I suffered at certain point in my life, and I thought that's a Satan's job, definitely. But I can tell you that if I wouldn't experience that dark side of my life, I wouldn't have that great compassion towards the people who are in that place where I was.
yes,
So it's like elder generation, like we are both with Marius from Lithuania, and it's a post-Soviet country. And when we take elder generation of like 60 years old and above, they don't really get things what we get about. And when you start telling them about yoga, meditation, some of them, like, Jesus, boy, you need Jesus. It's like
Yes.
that's the difference of dogma, I could say, of people's beliefs. But myself in life, really, I acknowledge that I can't say very early, but quite early in my life, that there is I don't believe in such thing as a Satan, or like, it's same thing for me. It's one and the same thing for me. We just found a way to demonize the process of world, how it works. And instead of being able to see the balance and be really aware about the cause and effect, we found a way to demonize it and put all the load on Satan, on demons, or on fallen angels, and all that. And I believe that's perfectly fine, as long as people they are motivated with all this dogma, that it helps them to improve, it helps them to bring better judgment, and all these things. So it's all part of the process. So I'm not saying that if someone believes in a Satan, it's bad, because the belief of a Satan's existence, it's already driving good deeds for people, and some sort of mm, how to say in English that more like volunteer choice of being in a light,
Yeah.
by knowing the dangers of the darkness.
Yes. Don't you think like that actually makes people to run towards one side and avoid the other side? Like that's basically what you said. Like that makes them do the steps going towards the God, because that's something
Yeah,
what's
yeah, it
like.
is. It is just
And
one thing. One thing what I noticed is that when you run away from darkness, you can't run away from darkness, because it's part of our nature, and inability to see light in the darkness. That's what is the problem. So if I could say that, if we are unable to see God's heart in Satan's mind, you know that's where it gets all this cycle of hate and desire to kill the Satan, in our lives.
yes,
That's where it comes from. So if a person would be self-aware that his lessons he's suffering, maybe it's a gift, at some point, that time was, yeah, hell. But what did you learn? Like, how did it change your life? Maybe there was some turns, maybe there was some crossroads where how that event you wouldn't make it. So it's very hard to judge that part. At certain point, I was quite a religious person, as a Catholic, and life was just pushing me towards God, not towards the religion. And that's why we're doing these podcasts, to share really our observations, I would say.
yes. One thing I want to add as well. It's one of my experiences where I've seen a person getting like a beating, and that was the most perfect event which could happen at that given second. So basically, I was in a shamanic ceremony. We're using not ayahuasca, San Pedro. So we're drinking that, and then in the morning, there was a person who there was about 12 people in the room. We were all laying on the floor, and one of the people kind of was in an energy which you can, in a vibe which you can see around the nightclubs usually, like someone going around searching for problems.
Okay.
And it was very interesting to observe. I was like, should I do something? Should I not? It doesn't bother me much, but it looks like it's a bit of a mess. And it was happening for about 30 minutes till he was going in circles, like he was trying to annoy one person, annoy another person, and then he went on to like third person who just grabbed him by his arm. He done some wrestling on him, and he held him for like 3 seconds, and after those 3 seconds he was thanking him for like 15 minutes, because that was exactly what he needed, just to feel pain, like to get that dose of pain, just to transform his energy from I want problems to basically enlightenment in a wrestling way. And after seeing that, I understood that the darkness is as great as the light if I choose to see that. If I am brave enough to stay in the dark and deal with it and love it, not run from it, just to kind of, because light is more warm, more comfy, and something I'm used to, and like that's good and that's where I should stay. No, I think that both of them works for my good, for a better tomorrow, and for me to become a person who can experience even more the next second of life, to be more true, to be more energy with less thoughts and the weight of how it should be.
We can even take a simple example of let's look into most toughest people in the world, through what they went through, and that's when you said about that wrestling thing. I remembered my own story of so basically my father was a criminal, and when I was 5 years old he took me to the crime accidentally, and he basically robbed and almost killed a person in front of me. He was beating him to basically death on the floor. And that thing really was like, like proper Satan's job, because that gave me a lot of fear, a lot of anger, a lot of fury, and it was like following me for many years. But at the same time, I went into this sort of a teenager life with all this aggression, with all that anger, and somehow I was constantly inside converting that it's not the way, and when you say that the darkness, has a lot of powerful things to teach us, I can add one thing on top, that you need to try light, because that's where many people miss the big point. When we go to the dark side of our life, when we call it dark nights of our soul, it's really the place where we face certain fear of being in light all the time, because it's not about being in darkness or in light. I believe that light is a natural state of who we are, and the darkness is not even the absence of light. It's more invisible presence of light. If you get the point what I mean, because
Yeah,
it's really very very similar. If we name darkness as a trauma, like, it's not easy to see the good learnings in a trauma when it's surrounded with darkness. And
yeah,
if you are capable to see that invisible light, then everything changes, because
yes,
you are not that reactive to that. And I'm not saying that you should ignore when somebody is killing somebody, or somebody is abusing someone, or you see domestic abuse or something, you like, if you have to be involved, you have to be involved. You can't do nothing about this. You will not be stopped if you will have to be there. So, but I definitely know that in my experience that you can handle a lot of aggression with just being purely in love, because it's all about compassion. When you look to the person, like I spent, as you know, I'm currently working with a big venue, and I'm spending some of my time in a place where a lot of people getting drunk, and what I do, I really observe the situation, and it's all these things are people craving for something, what they need. Is that attention? Is that running away from their natural state? Is just get away for them, and looking for problems is just another way to get justified, or get slapped to get back into your room. So it's all coming from somewhere, from some sort of a dark place.
Yeah, when I said about the dark side, is I didn't mean like choosing, like doing the dark stuff. Let's say being in a gang involved with hard money and heavy life. I'm talking more about when we get those dark nights in our mind. Basically, something triggers those demons to kind of show up. And as soon as they're triggered, like for me, is usually sugar where I turn to. Like that's my choice of the drug. And actually, you were the first one when we were talking something about sex, when you said that sex addiction is as well, like what you're running from. And I was like, that's bullshit, like what he's talking about. And it took me about 2 weeks, like, oh, all right, maybe that's not bullshit. And like it was an interesting process to kind of live through. So when those demons rises, it's important for me to not to run away from them, not to kind of get the Snickers on top of them and wait for the next time they rise, but to work through the questions which they show me, to stay there and kind of integrate them instead than just using something, alcohol, sweets, whatever it is, sex.
It's it would be great if we could live in a world where we wouldn't need to see the works of the Satan. But that's where we live right now, and what's happening in the world, it's purely suffering for people. If we go on that page, to look into what's so-called reality. But like I said, is all this situation, what's happening, all this economical collapse, what's really happening. We're not yet clear on what's really happening, but we can see that. We can see where it's turning. And I recently saw how Elon Musk was speaking about the AI, that it can go very, very bad, but it also can go very, very good. So which side is controlling that? And now it's again, which side is the same coin, it's the same birds, same two wings, but it's the same bird. And our ability to see through the darkness is that's where the light is born.
Yes, it like the darkness is transformed, or that's how I like to word it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
this topic for me, why it was important. It's about that when I'm able to understand and accept the dark side as I'm able to enjoy the bright side, is that I'm empowered myself to be in control of my perception, how I see every moment and how I can accept every moment. Because if I think that turning to the, like, let's say drinking is bad and staying sober is good, then I will be running from drinking, and I will be always feeling bad, or I'll be kind of punishing myself if I'll get a drink. That's, again, that's type of control. If I'm in the moment and at that moment I feel like drinking, and I will drink and I will not punish myself, then I can be 100% in the moment and enjoy whatever is happening. Just observe myself and ask why I'm doing it. What is the reason behind it? So I think less reactions and more of choices, more of stopping myself and just ask myself for a second or two, what do I want to do? And why do I choose to do what I want to do? Is it me being triggered, or my beliefs, or standards how it should be? Or is it honestly like my heart is craving for something, for an experience, for a taste, for something different from what I had before? Because only by doing different steps than what I was doing before, I can experience something what I never experienced. Even doing these podcasts, like every time I'm before doing them, I'm like, this and that, and I need to do it. Like, why I can turn the game on or something else. And now, actually, even today, I thought, is it my age or something that I can't do nothing new? Like, is it me just being too old to do something new, to new choices and new experiences? And but I don't know, it was just funny to notice that these thoughts I'm having.
Yeah. Yeah, I could say, every single one of us faces Satan at least once or twice or dozen or 100 times in our lives, and we hear him here sometimes, because that's the naysayer, that's the main naysayer in our life, that's the one who loves self-humiliation, that's the one who loves self-hatred, that's the one who hates everyone around you, it's the one who judges, that's the one who is jealous. So all these things coming from our trauma and cultural programming, and that's where the roots of the Satan. And if you are here listening to what we're talking about, and you're coming up to certain conclusions, I can tell you one thing: just twist the coin, just twist the coin. That voice will calm down, and we're always gonna have that little voice in our head that tries to say something, but what it has to do with you, just allow him to flow further, and be where you are right now, in a perfect time, in a perfect place, and just keep moving forward.
And remember that you can switch the channel. If it's saying something what you don't like, you have to be in control of the channel which is playing in your head. Same way I have to be in control of my channel, and I guess I'm sure everyone who wants to live a life which is full of experiences has to control its mind as much as possible.
Hmm. I was recently writing a post on my Facebook profile, and that post sounded like this: the biggest moment of change happened in me when I decided that whenever I will meet a person, it doesn't matter what kind of a situation it is, what that person is telling me, doing in front of me, or whatsoever, I will wish him a blessings, and I will wish him a happiness. And when I started to do this, in my mind, I even started to see how my face is changing, how my eyes are changing, because I was in that period where I was surrounded by all that darkness, and that was creating some sort of a castle of demons around me. And then I was like, I'm in the wrong house. What's happening, And all this transition started to happen for me when I became aware about all this cultural programming and trauma and how it really works, how it created that mental prison for me. And that one decision to wish for every single person that I meet blessings and happiness, it was the main point, like a pivot point in my journey where I really started to change. Because every time I had some and life was throwing situations at me. Like when I took that decision, life was basically throwing situations in me where, like a couple years ago at that point in my life, I would at least tackle that person. But that was absolutely different reaction. And that inner self-control, that inner reflection on that, on the understanding that this person acting this way not because he wants to act that way, it's because he doesn't know the other tool, he doesn't know other way. Maybe I can
Yes.
be an example of, when the darkness is in front of you, be the main light in the room.
Yes.
Because the saying, be the smartest person in the room. If you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. What I'm saying is, be the most loving person in the room. Be the most loving person in the room, because this is a very viral disease. Most loving
Yes.
person in the room is a viral disease, and it gonna go global. So stay with light and embrace the darkness, because that's where all the light comes up. It's not about seeing evil in that. It's about seeing opportunity to become better, more loving, and more peaceful people.
Yes. I think we kind of took it fully, this glass and this topic. So thank you, Karolis, for your thoughts.
My
Please,
pleasure.
everyone, comment, share, or ask questions. Please tell your opinion if you like it, and even if you don't like it, that's even more welcome. So thank you for your time, and see you next time. Have a nice evening.
We're looking for a challenge. Have a great night.
Yes.